Good morning on this beautiful summer's morning in New Zealand. I'm out quite early. For me, I thought I'd do a little bit of filming while it's so still and calm and quiet. I decided to do a property tour of our 2-acre property, just under a hectare here in New Zealand. And I thought I would start with our poplars. We got these poplars from a nursery somewhat local to us, about an hour away, called Aotearoa Poplar and Willow Nursery. So right now I'm going to flip the camera. I'm holding my phone in one hand because I'm still waiting for my selfie stick to arrive, and I've got a cuppa in the other hand. If you hear any background noises, cows and things like that, there's probably milking going on next door. Looking at the poplars a little more closely, you pop the poplar poles into the ground. A pole looks like a stick of wood, but it's not, it's living material. So with the poplar poles, you pop them in the ground. Ours were 1 metre long, and so we put them in 250 millimetres, about a quarter of their depth. They came up to about here. So with this one you can see this is roughly where it joined. This one grew out of the top. And here you can see, I'll come around the corner a little bit, try and move this. There we go, I did some pruning earlier this year and it's starting to heal over. And this particular one has also grown quite evenly all the way around, all the way up to the crown. However, its next door neighbour, its shoot came out a lot closer to the ground. You can see here is where it joined. Well, sorry, it didn't join. That is where the main leader grew out. So the first 7 poplars that are in this row, earlier this year I pruned down to what is called a central leader. That means that you take any other offshoots out of the way so that they grow a nice strong central trunk. This one right here, which is sort of the first in the row, I wasn't too sure about this one, and so I left a couple of branches. However, this one here and this one back here, I will in time be taking off. So even though I trimmed them to a central main leader, you can see that this branch here is new growth. So the new growth you can see coming out, it's a lot greener. I'll see if I can zoom in slowly to show how it comes out and is young and supple. So that new growth, that will also get trimmed off in time. That new growth will get turned into rami or wood chip. These last 4, down towards the drive, they are a lot bushier, and that is because they still have all of their branches, no trimming done yet. If you can hear a faint buzz, it's the neighbour's milking machine. So looking at this poplar here, you can see there's the ground, it's got some new growth, and then coming up the trunk you can see where its main leader comes up here. So that will stay, but there's several other branches. So this one here, this one here, this one here, and that one, other one around the corner in the back. I don't know if you can see it. This one, my arm was in the way. That one there, I will be pruning all of those off, and then it will leave just that central leader. Some of them have grown better than others. Looking down the row there, you can see a couple of really short ones in the middle. Maybe they didn't get as much water. There is a bit of a dip there. Not sure. I guess eventually they'll catch up. But That's nature for you. Sometimes things grow really well, sometimes they don't go so well. So down here is the dahlia bulb I planted, the golden scepter, some time ago, and it's doing pretty well. Not quite flowering yet, but it will get there. And this is our boundary between us and our neighbours next door. And down this side there is pretty much just trees. There is some willow. They need a bit of a good trim back. A misty walking past. I believe that yellow plant may well be ragwort. I've seen that here before, not quite there, but in the general area. And I also saw a grub on it, a caterpillar, that apparently eats it. So we'll wait and see if that happens again. I'll see if I can find a picture to put up in the corner of that caterpillar. In the yellow bucket there, with more blackberry, which needs taking back, is my worm farm. A little bit neglected, however the worms are still alive and I will feed them again soon. The bucket below it, it has holes in its lid and it's to collect some of the water runoff. I know it's not true worm juice, but it can still be fed to the plants. If you can hear a bit of a hum in the background, that's our water pump. Somebody's using the water at the minute, and that's what happens when the water's been going, toilet's been flushed, etc. Because our water tank is on the flat, it needs a pump. Sometimes they are gravity fed. Okay, so back to the bucket, the black bucket. The black bucket is for making liquid fertiliser. At the moment it has some comfrey in there. It's been almost 10 days, so today I may well be removing that comfrey, removing the leaves which have all gone wilty and disgusting and stink. But the leftover fibre will go onto some plants. That leaning there looking like some pieces of wood is called a sawbuck. I'll open it up. There you go, I'm sure you can figure it out. Put the wood in the cross bits there and it makes it a lot easier to cut it. Especially for me, sometimes I get a sore back and so it's easier to stand and do it than be bending over to strain my back. This little picket gate, not sure how old it is, but it's the entry to what I call more of the garden area. It's soon going to be replaced with a new one though. It's a bit narrow but hard to get my cart through, and yeah. This gate is the entry to what I'm calling the vegetable garden area. The planters there are to stop the pup from coming through. Well, she's not pup, she's a teenager. Sometimes she tries to find a way under the fence and take off, so those are there to stop her from getting through. I've shown a little bit in here from time to time. There's a rootstock bed over there which needs to have the buckets on. The potatoes are doing really well, they're just about to flower. What I've come in here nice and early to do is to harvest this rhubarb while it is still dew wet. And it's got all the moisture that it's held from overnight, because later in the day it will go all wilty. I've come out with a knife in my pocket and a bag so that I can store it in, and I will harvest it. I'm not going to film it because I don't have a tripod to put my camera on. And then next door is the boysenberry I planted yesterday. So that's been languishing in its little bag. And so finally I got to dig a patch yesterday, about 1 metre by 1.2 metres. Took me several hours by the time I had dug it over, dug out all the stones that were a spade and a fork deep down, popped it in, given it some compost, and it's got some cardboard underneath the grass to help retain the moisture. Don't think it's going to do much this season, but next season hopefully I'll get some berries. It's a variety called mapua that I got from Edible Gardens locally. Okay, job done there. a few stalks that were too immature in both patches of the rhubarb. This patch here, I have laid the rhubarb leaves back around. It's what I've done for years and years. I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, but I figure it's rhubarb. It's got what the plant needs. The others I've just left in a pile at the moment. That's because I'm going to come back and weed, because there are quite a few weeds there. I'm also going to give both of the plants a good compost because I think they need a little bit of feeding. Hiding here in the long grass we have another variety of rhubarb. This one actually grows really quite tall with thick stems. I think it needs quite a bit of feeding. It's only been in the ground a few months, so I think it needs to establish itself, and in time it will grow well. So I've come back to you. I've been inside, had some breakfast, processed the rhubarb and cooked it, and now I've come back out to film a little bit more in the garden. I'm going to try not to squint while I'm looking at the camera, but it's a bit sunny out here, so in a minute the hat which is behind me is going to go on my head. Here in New Zealand, where it is really hot, we've got a hole in the ozone, and so sun protection is really important. And today they recommend the sun protection from 9:20 a.m. until sometime late in the afternoon. So for me especially, that means a hat. If I'm too long in the hot sun, I start to get a nasty headache. It's already hitting 25 degrees on our deck thermometer today, and so it may well go up. There's now a very slight breeze, but not too bad. So I'm going to pause and then flip you around and then show you a few more things. So as well as the boysenberry I showed you just before, we have a raspberry. I can't remember the name of its variety. I will find it and put it up on the screen. We have, yes, lots of long grass. If you've come to my channel for Homes and Gardens Beautiful, you're not going to find it. It's summer, and this grass I'm just about to cut down over the next few days, and we'll probably put in sacks for the chicken coop. Just along down here somewhere, we have decided we're going to put another gate so that I have access from the garden to the other areas, such as the greenhouse. From the peg there to back there, I've planned for hollyhocks, more hollyhocks. I got one in the ground and I still need to dig the rest of the patch. That's what life tends to be around here. I'll do a bit or something, and then sometime later I'll get back and do some more. Then in the background you've got the compassion rose that has now finished flowering for now. May get another flush, I'm not sure. Just had a hunt and found it, a somewhat bedraggled rosemary that also needs to get into the ground. The plan is for it to go here beside the raspberry. We've got an assortment of pots, got to clear them up too. On this side of the gate is my other nursery patch. Yes, it's not looking like a nursery patch right now, I know. There are plants in there. That's an apple down there. Didn't get it into the ground this year, next year. There's a whole lot of comfrey, which I'm going to plant around the feijoas and things. And weeds. And down there is more barberry that needs trimming. Then we come around to the rootstock bed. I got it mostly weeded the other day, but there is still some to do. So in here we have a boysenberry right there in front of me. I will put up a picture of when I put all of the rootstocks into the ground and with the labels that I had for them. Another day I'll do another little talk about the rootstock bed when I have all of the information. Down this side here we have 4 of the feijoas. I think there's going to be around about 12 planted down here. The rest of them will be down along this side here. There is comfrey growing all down the back boundary. The wind is picking up, so I hope it's not too bad. The other thing we have growing here are the poplar. This one's quite a tall one. And they also go all the way down our back boundary, all the way along there, as far as the stream. Hi Misty. We planted this earlier this year when we trimmed branches off one of the other poplars out the front. So as you can see, it's put on new growth, growing quite well, and some of the growth is from the top. So in time I'll see which one I will choose for the central leader. Down there we have the comfrey I harvested to go in the liquid fertilizer bin. I cut that down about 10 days ago, and as you can see, it's growing well again already, giving a continual supply. Misty checking it out. So what is the grand plan for in here? Well, it's not necessarily a grand plan, but the idea for in this area here is to have mostly food production, vegetable gardens. I will have some flowers in here as well, because I do love my flowers so much. They bring me much joy. There's going to be a central path down through roughly the centre. It's not exactly the centre, but I didn't want it to be exactly the centre. Then there will be garden beds going off from it. For example, this is the potato one at the moment, and it comes all the way along and goes down past the bucket to where those two stakes are at the end, if you can make them out. That allows room for the feijoa bushes, and if the feijoa trees become a bit bigger, then I will cut the garden size back just a little bit. As well as having the feijoas, I will put comfrey all down the side here over time. Excuse me, frog in the throat. That will give me more comfrey, but it will also be feed for the feijoa trees. The barberry, which is those bushes there, spiky, prickly, I've decided to coexist with them. I did actually find out that they are a forest support species, so I haven't quite figured out what they do apart from spike you if you're not careful, but I will do some research to find out what they add to the whole process. The rootstock bed, it may end up with rootstocks all the way down to the central path, or it may end up with other things growing alongside the rootstocks. So at the other side of the rootstock bed there is another garden bed, well, a proposed garden bed. My plan was last year to have that dug out and be producing food for us this year. However, that hasn't happened, so that will likely happen before the end of this year. I have all year to slowly dig over these beds. And then you have the random things like this. This was a pot. Not sure if it was a spring onion or a leek. Soil got hard, got compacted, it got neglected. It got quite a bit neglected. But look at that gorgeous flower. It's pretty amazing itself. Right, here I am after morning tea time in my old straw hat, keep the sun off. I'm thinking all the way along this area here to perhaps grow some barna grass. I'll try it anyway, a few plants, and see if it takes. It would make a shelter belt along here, and then I can also cut it down and use it for mulch or browns in the compost. Between the post there and this post here, we're going to have a gate, And the other thing in this area is the chicken run and the chicken coop, and also their little sandbox under that wee roof there. So this was purpose built. The white netting which goes through there and beyond to the greenhouse and around out there, that is to give the chickens a bit more area to scratch in.